Good people YouTube, I'm the Watch Idiot, and yeah, here is the brand new, just released AVI-8 Flyboy Royal British Legion Founders Chronograph, and I've been wearing it for the past few days and I've got some thoughts on it, but in short, it's pretty awesome, and it's even more awesome at the price of $285 or 225 pounds. So yeah, let's get into it. So first off, I want to say that AVI-8 reached out to me to ask if I wanted to take a look at this brand new watch that they'll be releasing. And so they sent me the watch. I don't have to send it back in. They haven't paid me for anything. And yeah, they haven't seen this video before I'm posting it over here. They're seeing it for the first time alongside all you wonderful people out there. Yeah, when AVI-8 reached out to me with this brand new release, I was curious, but honestly, I didn't think too much of it just because, you know, previous AVI-8 designs were cool, but, you know, they just weren't for me. So I said yes because it's a vintagey pilot's chronograph, which is a pretty big departure from the rest of the modern and bold design language that AVI-8 is known for and is very popular for. So it piqued my interest, especially because this style of pilot's watch has appealed to me for quite some time. Oh, and also it was an embargoed pre-release watch, so, you know, it kind of made me feel like I was an MKBHD over here, so that was pretty cool. But then I was like, oh God, I mean, it might be 42 millimeters because most of them are, but it's 40 millimeters, which as many of you know is right in my sweet spot of that 38 to 40 millimeter range. So very happy. Oh, and clearly I have a thing for, you know, quartz chronographs over here because yeah, I've got, how do I hold this? Because yeah, I've got 3 quartz chronographs over here, and this here is my 4th over here. So I think it would have piqued my interest regardless of them reaching out to me, so it worked out nicely. So let's go over the background while I show you the unboxing experience of this watch, which is pretty cool because it's got some extra little things over there. So this particular set of limited editions was made alongside the Royal British Legion and their 100th anniversary this year, which is a legit anniversary. So yeah, I mean, RBL was founded in 1921 after the end of the First World War to fight for and to give back to those who served in the British Armed Forces and their families. So yeah, these new limited editions were inspired by the charity's first chairman, Sir Thomas Frederick Lister, and the first president, Field Master Earl Haig. Also, 25 pounds for every watch sold is donated for the cause, which is a great way for AVI-8 to show their support for the Royal British Legion, which has been, you know, serving once again the British Armed Forces and their families for over 100 years. So yeah, there's some substance behind this collaboration, which is awesome. And on top of that, the special design cues for this collaboration are subtle but effective, which I love seeing, and we'll get into that. And also, they released another set of watches for this anniversary alongside my one, and they are, you know, simpler pilots, time-only pieces, and I really like the steel case version, but I just wanted to try something out that was new for me. And of course, more details on all of the variations can be found on their website. So let's get the dimensions out of the way first, and yeah, they're really great because, like I said before, it's got a 40 millimeter case, which is in my sweet spot of 38 to 40 millimeters, and the lug to lug is really good too at 48.6 millimeters. And yeah, I mean, it's not the shortest lug width, but this is probably the shortest it could be, you know, without compromising the proportions and the style of this sort of pilot's watch. And the thickness is 13.1 millimeters, which is, you know, more than okay for a pilot's watch chronograph. However, one thing to note is that pilot's watches tend to have very simple case designs, and in this case, the simplicity makes the watch look quite thick. But once again, I want to stress that it isn't really thick. It's 13.1 millimeters, which is pretty great for a chronograph overall. So all the dimensions come together very nicely, and it's rounded off by a 20 millimeter lug width, which I am a huge fan of, and I saw from my last poll that a bunch of you are also a very big fan of. Moving on, it is 50 millimeters water resistant though. Moving on, it's 50 millimeters. And moving on, it's 50 meters water resistant, which I think is more than enough for, you know, normal life. And it's got a mineral crystal. And finally, it has a VK64 mecha quartz movement, which will be a turnoff for the quartz haters out over there. But, you know, honestly, without a running seconds hand and with the mechanical actuation of the chronograph and the somewhat smooth running of the chronograph seconds hand, You know, I pretty much forgot that it is a quartz because there's nothing visibly quartz about it necessarily. So the handset is spot on over here, starting off with the Cathedral hour hand and the matching minute hand, because they, of course, you know, it makes sense for this style of chronograph. And the cherry on top of it is that they're brushed. And as I've said many times before in my previous videos, and more recently my Seiko SNE 569 and SPB 143 videos, I absolutely love it when a handset is brushed because it just pops out so much and it adds such a nice bit of visual interest, and it just looks so good. Honestly, it just once again elevates the watch above the price point that it's at. And I always take note of the hand proportions, and they got it absolutely perfect, you know, here, which is something that's pretty notable for a watch at this price point of 285, 225 pounds. All the hands touch the inside edge of wherever they're supposed to be, and also the overall size of the hour and minute hand is great compared to all the other elements on the dial itself. Next up are these sub-dial hands, and they look awesome in light blue. Offers a little bit of contrast, and also the entire sub-dial is really well sized and, you know, quite deep actually within the dial, and you know that once again adds a little bit of extra visual interest and extra bit of depth alongside the, you know, concentric circle finish of the sub-dials. And the star of the show is that Chronograph seconds hand, which is white, which is fine, but it's the little puppy counterweight, which is absolutely amazing. And it just took me, you know, the first time I saw it. And you know, once again, like I've said in previous videos, I am absolutely a sucker for these tiny little details, you know, like this, just because it just adds such a nice bit of flair to a watch and a little bit of character to the watch. And in this particular case, you know, it connects it back to its original purpose. So yeah, I mean, I just love seeing that little puppy just there. Well played, AVI-8. The dial color is a subtle navy blue, which I love, and the numerals are great, especially because they're kind of three-dimensional with the lume set in the middle of them. And I wasn't expecting very much from the lume considering the price and the fact that it's a chronograph, but yeah, they did a really good job with the lume. I mean, the numerals are loomed and the hands are fully loomed, and not only are they evenly applied, but they're also pretty bright. So yeah, coming from the world of dive watches, this made me very happy. Oh, and the date window is at 6 o'clock, which makes me very happy because I have very strong feelings about where a date window should be and how it should look. And yeah, they did it right because it's framed as well, and it's also set very nicely in the circular flow of all the numerals, so it doesn't like jut in or jut out or anything like that. However, I'm not a big fan of mecha quartz being written right on the dial, just because while I'm a very big fan of quartz and mecha quartz, I know that many people aren't, and seeing it written there is an unnecessary reminder on a watch that doesn't scream quartz, you know, to start with. But overall, I just love the aesthetic, and you know, I've always loved watches from Hanhart, you know, from afar, and I love Montblanc's mono pusher chronograph with this sort of aesthetic. But you know, I never went for them just because they are over $3,000, and you know, the Hanharts started over $3,000 and the Montblanc's 5,600. So yeah, I mean, I'm very glad that this watch has successfully scratched that itch fully. And the other star of the show for me is the Telemeter Scale, and this is something that you see very often on watches because it seems like the standard for a chronograph is the tachymeter scale, which is completely useless for real life, unlike the Telemeter Scale, which actually can be used sometimes, I guess. So first of all, the telemeter scale is used to determine how far away you are from an event that has both a light and a sound. So in the military context, if you see a blast from an artillery shell, you can start the chronograph, and then when you hear the sound from that blast, you can stop the chronograph and you'll know how far away that, you know, artillery is according to the scale on this watch. So I probably won't be in a situation where I have to determine how far away an exploding thing is from me, but in real life, you can start the chronograph when you see lightning, and then you can stop it when you hear thunder. So at that point, you'll know how far away the lightning is from you, and if you time it again, you'll be able to see whether it's coming towards you or away from you. So, you know, that's pretty cool. I guess I'm looking forward to the next storm. And yeah, I mean, I know that it's not something that's inherently useful for most people, but keep in mind that I'm the guy who uses every single function on an X33 Speedmaster here on Earth to time drives and all sorts of useless things. So yeah, I like this sort of thing. So As for the case, it's a simple, fully brushed affair, as it should be for a watch like this, but it does have a little touch of flair because it does have a polished bevel on the tops of the lugs, and I've said before that I absolutely love it when watches have this little detail. So the bezel itself is taller than it is thick, and it's got a well done circular brush which works with the rest of the brushed case. And one thing that I noticed later on was the thin edge on the top of the bezel is polished, which doesn't look like very much, but seeing it glint in different lights is pretty nice, and it's a cool little detail that they decided to include. And it's got a non-screw down onion crown which fits the look, and they've put in a 3D epoxy poppy in it. So yeah, it's definitely not a detail that I was expecting to see, but you know, this extra little flash of red is still pretty nice. And sometimes when I glance at the watch on my wrist, you know, that seeing that red on the side, you know, reminds me of the Hanhart red pusher. So the chronograph pushers look good from the top, but I would have liked it a little bit more if they were just a bit bigger, because from the side they do look a little small. So the strap is a 2-stitch leather strap, or in this case a 4-stitch leather strap, and it is really good, and I wasn't expecting that at this price point. But it is soft and supple, which is definitely the most important aspect of a strap, because I absolutely hate it when a strap is stiff and it pinches my wrist at the tops. Also, the color is a dark navy blue, which pairs perfectly with the dial, and actually the color of the strap is actually one of the big reasons why I chose this particular variation, because I wanted a strap of this color because I can then use it on my other watches, and I'm glad that the strap is that good because I actually will be using it on my other watches. However, I would have liked it a little bit more if it had quick release spring bars, which is something that, you know, as a chronic strap changer is always really helpful, but it's not really that big a deal because I just cut into it a little bit and put in my own quick release spring bar, so not really that big a deal. While we're on the topic of straps, I must say it really does look good on a bunch of different straps. And yeah, I've been switching it between this original strap and a gray NATO, as I usually do. So yeah, overall, I think that AVI-8 did a really good job, and I'm really happy that they're introducing these sort of vintagey watches, especially at this size of 40 millimeters, because I think this is really gonna help open up the brand to a whole new set of enthusiasts like myself who, you know, like these smaller watches. Once again, big thanks to AVI-8 for reaching out to me with this awesome watch, and I'm really looking forward to what they do next. If you want more information on this new limited edition collaboration with the Royal British Legion for their 100th anniversary, go ahead and check them out on AVI-8's website. You know, I've linked them down below in the description. And yeah, if their last RBL limited edition was anything to go by, I think these are going to be pretty popular, and they're going to sell quickly. So yes, if you found this video to be helpful and you enjoyed watching it, please do hit the like button because it helps the channel a whole bunch, and also it'll help this watch, you know, find other enthusiasts who are going to like this watch too. So yeah, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell while you're at it so you can stay up to date on everything that happens on this channel. And yeah, until the next video, good day.